I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, March 18th, brought to you in part by VITALIX. Not all tubs are created equal, and VITALIX has 44 different varieties to fit your needs. VITALIX wants to offer a tub giveaway to feeder flash gang members. If you're watching this on NationalBeefWire.com, there's a VITALIX ad right there next to this video. You can click on that to find out more information. If you're watching this on YouTube, go down into the descriptions and click on VITALIX there for more information about winning free tubs of VITALIX. But stretch your profits with every lick. Get the blue tub. Your cows will love you. For more information, go to VITALIX.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, going to have 6,500 head for the regular Tuesday cattle auction here today on Tuesday. About 1,000 head of calves, most of them weighing 400 to 600 pounds, about 80% of them weaned. They did say that the condition on them to turn out is going to be excellent, and a lot of these calves are old crop calves. There'll be about 2,000 head of yearling feeder cattle, most of them weighing from 600 to 800 pounds. There'll be a few packages weighing in the 9s and a few lighter grazing yearling heifers there. And then probably 32 to 3,500 yearling feeder steers. Be a lot of load lots of the steers and heifers, guys. But the steers mostly weigh to 700 to 900 pounds. They got a few loads of 10 weight yearling feeders there. But all of these yearling cattle are coming right off the wheat locally, guys. And a lot of them will be home raised. And I mean, the quality will be out of this world. About 300 head of cows for the weigh up cow sale there on Wednesday. But check them out. Beaver County Stockyards on DVAuction.com. Packers hiding the higher market. And some of you guys might think that I'm washed up on this, but it's just because you don't know enough about how the information gets reported. I'm going to rub some people the wrong way. You know that's never been a problem for me. But the Packers actually report the market information that we get from USDA. And they go in and they punch it into a database and then send it in 2 times a day. At 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock every business day. So we get that information. And then so much of the cattle are actually priced off of the weighted average that the USDA provides after the information comes in. So there's cattle that are priced off the 5 area. There's cattle that are just priced off their particular region of the 5 area. Maybe cattle priced off of the Texas and Kansas for the southern, off the Nebraska and the Iowa for the northern. But they use those weighted average prices as a base price for some of these grid-based pricing, some of the formula pricing, and sometimes they just give them so much over those weighted average prices, but they have to start somewhere, so they have to come up there. And instead of mandatory price reporting helping us as an industry with transparency and price discovery, it's actually enabling the Packers to hide prices. And we've been seeing it for a long time in the southern plains. So most of the cattle, and the guys will tell you that are active out in the feedlots, and there's more cattle trading negotiated every week than what we see by a long shot. But so many of them sell at $2 over the market, and then they end up sticking that into a formula sale somewhere when they're actually just a negotiated trade with an extra $2 on there to get the cattle. And a lot of times, and we saw this a lot last week in the northern plains where you don't normally see as much of it, they were getting the $2 premium to sell them all their cattle. And so they hide that in there. But then, I hear lots of people last week telling me that they wanted 208 for their cattle. They got 208 for their cattle. I talked to guys that said I was priced at 210 from the beginning. I held. They tried to get me to take 208. I would not take 208. Finally, they came to me with 210. But when the USDA market report come out on Monday morning for last week's trade, the highest price that was quoted on there in the 5-area feeding region was $207. And you think, well, what gives there? Well, your packers, they want to hide that $2 premium or $3 premium a lot of times in the southern plains, because it keeps the price down on the weighted averages, on the base price that starts the sales on the formula cattle and a lot of the grid cattle. It just saves them that much money. They're just hiding $2 on probably the bulk of sales. $2 a hundred on a big fat steer heifer is a bunch. $30 a head or more. $1,200 a load. How do you cattle feeders feel about that? And who do they get to actually trade at the base price? And I think it's a lot of times it's people that are retaining ownership, that don't have as much in the game, know what's going on as much. I know a lot of my friends in the southeast that feed cattle in the southern plains. They tell me that they get that base price. But the bulk of the cattle, especially the company-owned cattle or the cattle that the feedlot owns, they trade at the $2 to $3 over. It's not right. I think you guys ought to stand up for the market that you should be getting, and stop putting up with this, them hiding $2 or more of the market by sticking it in some kind of a formula deal or something like that, and keeping the weighted average low. We learned by the Packers playbook that their main function whenever they're buying cattle is to keep the higher priced cattle out of the weighted average and out of the reported markets on live FOB prices that come out from the USDA market report. But it is really getting ridiculous. And if you feel like you're getting screwed, you probably are, and you need to check into it. You need to see what's going on. Now, do they have anybody checking up on that? They're supposed to. Mandatory price reporting has auditors, the audit review and compliance group there that is supposed to go in there, and they're supposed to check this kind of stuff out. We've had mandatory price reporting for 25 years, and they've never found anything yet. I don't think they're looking. They're just going through the hoops. They're still a little bit pissed off because they're having to go into the office instead of picking around on their computer while they watch Price is Right from their couch. And they're not going to do anything. Somebody's got to put their foot down out there and say, hey, there's a little more market out there that we should be getting, instead of letting them screw you out of that. And I don't think it's right, and you guys ought to stand up for the market that you should be getting. Now, we saw a plant closure. Of course, I mean, these prices are so high. We know that the margins are really tight for your packers, if not negative. And we saw American Food Groups announce the closing of the Simple plant there in Yankton, South Dakota. 250 employees affected there. They did say they are offering some of them the opportunity to transfer to other facilities, like the one that's near St. Louis that they're going to be opening here within the next month or two. But likely that old plant was probably fairly inefficient and just a little bit tough for them to compete there. So we'll probably see more of our older plants closing as we start to see more of these more efficient plants opening here, and some of them this spring. I want to tell you about Punchy Pick of the Month contest here. We're a little over halfway through with this month, so it's not going to be long before we're going to pick them again. Take that Punchy Pick, email it to punchy@nationalbeefwire.com. You're automatically entered to win the big prize package that includes all kinds of swag from National Beef Wire, from Feeder Flash, Beaver Feed Company in Beaver, Oklahoma, Beaver County Stockyards there in Beaver, Oklahoma, and then the whole case of Fairpiece, that revolutionary product that is scientifically proven. That's a hell of a prize package, and everybody that gets that, they send us back pictures and telling us how great they thought it was, and they were really happy to receive that. For the kids corral, if you got Punchy Picks of the kids, the grand prize there is a $200 gift certificate to Cavender's, given to you by Great Plains Livestock Consulting. So we're looking forward to the next round of the Punchy Pick of the Month contest. Let's talk about your board on Monday to start the week out. It was very friendly. April live cattle futures up $1.85 at 205.02. June was up 172 at 201.07. Your back months on live cattle were up 135 to up 235, and I'm hearing that there is more industry interest on the long side of your live cattle than normal. A lot of people are saying, hey, this thing could get wild. I mean, really wild. I mentioned on our last visit, a lot of people think these fat cattle will get up to 220 on the board, and they want to get in on some of that run up there on the long side of live cattle futures. Feeder cattle, alongside of that, dominated by the managed money. March feeder cattle up 265 at 284.62. April was up $3 smooth at 284.20. Your back months up 260 to up 302. So friendly on CME cattle futures to start the week. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle sales out of your 5-area feeding region, just what is reported, and this is reported by the packers, and nobody's really keeping up with that. And I'm telling you, it's short of the top side of the market. But we did have negotiated sales in the 5-area, 64,600 compared to 60,900 the previous week, and 69,700 the same week a year ago. Live prices of fat steers and heifers selling from 199 to 207 through the week last week. When I had several producers in Nebraska and Iowa tell me that they sold cattle at 208. They wanted 208, they got 208, and they got 210. But it's not priced here there. They were just calling that $2 over some type of a formula deal, and it wasn't. That was part of the negotiation, guys, and it ain't right. That's $4 higher, though, just the 199 to 207, and weighted average on live steers 205.30. That's up 502 compared to the previous week. Dress sales ranged from 320 to 330. Didn't see them juking and jiving much with that. That was straight $10 higher on a price range. Weighted average on dress steers 324.97, up 854. As a whole, your Southern Plains market was $5 to $6 higher, from 202 to 203. But likely, all the cattle were bringing from 204 to 205 in the Southern Plains, just $2 to $3 over. Northern Plains $4 to $6 higher at 206, which most of them were bringing 208. $5 to $10 higher dress basis at 325. Nationwide, we sold 81,500 head negotiated, 74,400 the previous week, and 82,900 the same week a year ago. Of that 81,500 that sold negotiated nationwide, only about 7,500 of them, or 9%, were for the 2 to 4 week delivery. So they're still close to the knife. They're still scrambling. They're trying to get cattle bought here already early this week at prices higher than last week. Now, who knows what they'll report, but they're already trying to buy cattle higher and ship them immediately. Negotiated grid sales 40,800 last week. Forward contracting on 50,600 head last week. And formula sales 260,350, which I'm saying a large part of them were likely negotiated sales, just including the $2 kicker there. The 4 out of 5 areas that give us information, Iowa sold 24,050 head negotiated last week. Nebraska sold 28,950. Didn't sell much in the Southern Plains. Kansas only 7,500. And Texas only 4,100. Box beef cutout values were higher, not nearly as much as they were at noon on Monday, but by the end of the day they were still up big. Choice cuts up 289 at 321.16. Selects up 158 at 307.90. Your slaughter, fairly typical on a light slaughter here, 114,000 estimated on Monday. That was 1,000 less than a week ago Monday. 4,000 less than a year ago Monday. Talk about what else is going on. Cattleman's Insurance Agency is another option, guys, for you guys to lay off the risk with an insurance policy. Brandon Reeves, our friend from Virginia Cattlemen's Association, started this a few years ago. He now calls it Cattleman's Insurance Agency. He has taken on new agents. If you are they're looking for livestock risk protection, they specialize in that. Also pasture, rangeland, and forage insurance. So if it's going to get dry out there. So you guys that are in the Virginia area, you feel comfortable with those guys, be sure and get in touch with them. If you're anywhere else, they'll help you out too. But you can also go to insurance@vacattleman.org for more information. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They're working to protect your livelihood, and they specialize in all classes of insurance, all classes of workman's comp, liability, every kind of insurance there is, guys. They can help you out, especially if you got a sale barn. They can take care of your livestock insurance, everything. But your real-time index on DVAuction late in the day on Monday, sitting at 284 smooth. That was up another 81 cents from the end of last week. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index sitting at 282.72. Sale you might want to check out here this evening, here on Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, so it'll be a little earlier than that in the middle part of the country. The Abington Feeder Cattle Association in Abington, Virginia is going to be having one of their tele-auctions that's going to be on DVAuction.com. They've got 17 loads of fancy calves, and I mean fancy. If you haven't seen the Virginia cattle, you got to take a look at them. They'll be 45 days weaned with all their shots. They are all VQA approved there for this calf sale. My buddy Butch Foster, who's their main marketing agent there, he is going to be on the phone, and he's actually going to be selling the cattle here tonight on Tuesday, so I'm going to have to tap in just to hear that. But don't miss that sale with Abington Feeder Cattle Association. Square loads, long-time weaned, fancy calves with all their shots. How about your big sales on Monday? Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City had 7,800 head. The feeder steers, they call $5 to $10 higher at the mid-session. Feeder heifers $2 to $6 higher. Steer calves $3 to $6 higher. And heifer calves mostly steady, but pretty whippy there. In Oklahoma City, National Livestock Commission sells 64 steers, weighed 717. They must have had a good turnout condition there at 324 1/4. Wow, big time quote there out of Oklahoma City. How about Joplin Regional Stockyards? They underestimated again. They had at least 800 or 1,000 more than what they were looking for, but the market was sharply higher again. The federal state market report was not out yet. I pulled this from Cattle Market Central a little bit early, but you know, it's going to be, he'll probably call it steady to $20 higher. I wish he'd break it down a little bit more, but it's sure higher. Was your NationalBeefWire stick out sale of the day? You look at your best tested weights there, and it was awfully good. 534 head of 4-weight steer calves in Joplin, average 409.23. 820 head of the 5-weight steers, average 557 at 358.87. 774 head of 6-weight steers, average 652. Weighted average price 316.40. 644 head of 7-weight steers, average 744 at 299.51. And 920 head of 8-weight feeder steers averaged 845. Joplin Regional Stockyards, weighted average price 278.07. Look at some heifers. How about 668 head of 4-weight heifer calves, average 450 at 356.93. 771 head of 5-weight heifers, average 547 at 312.48. There were 840 head of 6-weight heifers in Joplin. They averaged 649 pounds with an average price of $289.95. And 646 head 7-weight heifers, averaged 732 pounds. Weighted average price $265.46. Really good sale there at Joplin Regional Stockyards. The stick out sale that I did see there, and you think that they have to be up in the Sandhills in Nebraska to bring this. They do it in southwest Missouri guys at Joplin. 66 steers weighed 805 at 293. That's as high as we've seen them anywhere, guys. How about some other quotes around? Callaway Livestock Center in Kingdom City, Missouri sold some heifer calves really high. They belong to Paul Martin. You look on here and you say, it says steers. Yeah, they put them in as steers because they sold so well, but they were actually heifers. We got that straightened out. There was 81 heifer calves, weighed 581 and bring 339.75. I can see why the clerk made the mistake and put them in as steers there. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Aberdeen Livestock Sales in Aberdeen, South Dakota. 67 steers weighed 775 at 299.50. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.